All right, so this week I would like to talk about lists. Lists are perhaps the fundamental data type in Python. A list is a container that contains a list of objects, a list of numbers, or a list of words, or a list of any other kind of object. So today I want to first remind you how to use the command line to fetch and merge this week's release, and then we'll go through lists, for loops, and a syntax that's special to Python called list comprehension. And then we'll talk about how to submit the homework. So first, let me remind you how to fetch and merge this week's release. Just open a terminal and type and go to the directory in which you stored your version of the repository, and then type git fetch release and git merge release. So let's go ahead and open a terminal. And let me increase my font size. Actually, before I increase my font size, let me reduce the size of the terminal so it won't scroll off the edge of the screen. Now I can increase my font size. And I have this in CD KCGI. I have it in intro speech understanding. So I'll change to that directory. And then let me show you, right now I just have lecture 1 and lecture 2 here. But if I fetch the release, notice that it's downloaded 5 objects, but if I list the directory, it still doesn't show those objects. Right? So it's downloaded, it says here, total of 5 objects. It's downloaded 5 objects, but it hasn't added those objects to the directory. In order for it to add those objects to the directory, I have to type git merge release main, and then some kind of comment. Let's say merging release. And then just to make sure that it allows unrelated histories, I'll type allow unrelated histories. And now if we list, we should see that lecture 3 has appeared. So if I list the contents of lecture 3, you can see that it includes something called grade.py and something called homework.py. Let's change directories into lecture 3 and let's go ahead and start Python. If we type help, it says type help parentheses for interactive help or help object for more help about the objects. Let's type help homework 3 to learn more about homework 3. Oh, I need to import homework 3 in order to get help on it. So let me import homework 3, and then I can type help homework 3, and it will give me help about the homework 3. It says that homework 3 includes one function that needs to be defined, the function words to characters. All right, let me go back to the slides. Now that I've merged the release and I have available the release, now let me start working with lists. So a list is just a container for other objects. A list is defined by defining the variable name and then using the square brackets to start the list, comma to separate each item of the list, and a square bracket to end the list. So I can create a new list. Let's say x is equal to the string hello, and then the string 1.234, and then the Boolean variable true. And if I type x, then it shows it. If I type print x, then it will print the content. What else can I say? Oh, I can find out what type x is. Print x has type, and then let me specify that I want to print out the type of x. And it says x has type class list. If I just type type of x, then it will return class list. If I type is instance x list, then it should specify true.
Okay. Ali, अब entry start करेगा.
All right. So I'm defining a list. A list can be defined as any particular object, a sequence of objects that you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hello, and maybe another string there, and this, and is, and a, and list. And then if I print x, then it prints that list. 1.234, hello there, this is a list. Let's learn more about lists. Lists are, the main use of lists is to index particular elements of the list. And the elements of a list are numbered starting at 0. So if I print x of 0, then it will print 1.234. X of 1 is hello. X of 2 is there. X of 3 is this. Let's see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elements in the list. And if the first one is element number 0, then the last one must be element number 6. I can type len of x to find out its length. Its length is 7. And I can also print x of 0 through 3, for example, to print the first 3 elements of the list. All right, so now we can print out the elements of the list. Oh, the other thing that you can do with a list is you can change an element. Let's say that we want to change the first element from 1.234 to 3.1415. Now, if I print x, I get that the first element is 3.1415 instead of 1.234. If I want to change a to not a, let's specify that x of 5 is going to be not a, and then let's print x, and now we have, hello there, this is not a list, which is obviously a lie because this is a list. So you can write to any element of a list by putting the element of the list on the left-hand side of the equal sign. You can read from any element of the list by putting the equal sign on the right-hand side. So let me set y equal to a particular element, say x of 5, and then let's print y. Y is equal to the string not a. Y is a class string. So in this way, we can take this list of items, and these items can be arbitrary. They can be strings, they can be integers, they can even be other lists. Let's say x of 5 is equal to another list. Now x is the list 3.1415. Hello there, this is, and then the fifth element is the list not a. So if we ask what is the type of x of 5, the type is a list. X of 6 is a string. X of 0 is a float. So the list can contain objects of different types, just in a sequence. For more about lists, you can, of course, go to look up Python lists, and there will be lots and lots of information available online. AI will give you information. This Python documentation is excellent, so you can learn more about lists from this Python documentation. So in particular, let's learn a little bit more about a list. We can create an empty list by just using open brackets and close brackets like this. So if I print x, x is a long list. If I print y, y is a very short list. The length of x is 7. The length of y is 0. Y is now a list. So we see that y is in fact a list, but it's a list with 0 elements in it. So let's see, I've shown you that the length of x is 7, the length of y is 0 elements. We can also concatenate lists by using the plus sign. So if I want to say z is equal to x plus 4, 5, 6, and then if I print z, we see that z is the entire contents of the list x concatenated with the list 4, 5, 6. I can also use the times symbol. I can take 4, 5, 6, and I can multiply it by 3. And then if I return 3, we can see z, we see that it's 4, 5, 6, and then 4, 5, 6, and then 4, 5, 6. So just as plus and times meant concatenate and repeat for strings, it has the same meaning for a list. That's kind of useful. For a list, plus and times have the same meaning that they have for strings. Let's see, here's the repetition. The other things we can do with lists are things that are shown on this web page. We can append an item to the list. We can extend the list. We can insert an item at a particular location in a list. We can remove an item from a list. Let's just look at the first few of those. So if I append to the list, if I append the item A, and then print X, I see that now it has the last element A. If I append another list, if I try to append another list to X, what I find is that this list itself becomes the last item. Let's see, how long is X now? X is now 9 items long, so the 8th element of X is itself a list. If that's not what you wanted, then what you might have wanted might have been something like this, extend. What extend does is it takes the contents of this list, which is its argument, and it creates a new element in X for each of those items. So the last 2 elements of this list are the word another and the word list. X of 9 now is the word another, and X of 10 now is the word list. So the append operator takes whatever is its argument and makes that the last element of the list. The extend method takes a list as its argument and takes every element of that list and adds every element of that list to X. So here's some basic things that you can do with lists. Lists are probably the most useful data type in Python. They're used for a huge number of different things. One of the things that they're used for is for loops. So let's take a for loop has this syntax. We say for variable, and in this case, the variable is W, in, and then we give it a list or some other enumerable object. So let's say for X in, first let me set N as equal to 0, and then let's say for X, for W in X, print the N element of X is, and then let me print W. And then let me set N is equal to N plus 1. Notice that I've indented every line here. Every line is indented by exactly 4 spaces. And when I hit return, it runs through that for loop once for every element in the list. So the 0th element of the list is 3.1415, then hello, then there, then this, then is, then the list nada, and then the word list, and then the word a, and then the list another list, and then the word another, and then the word list. So notice that what it's done in this for loop is it's gone through every element of the list and assigned W one at a time to every element of the list. This is maybe the most common way to use the for loop, but in fact, we don't have to use it with a list. We can use any other enumerable object. And in particular, one very useful kind of enumerable object is the object called a range. So here we have the range from 45 to 67, counting by 2. Okay, let's do for n in range 45 to 67, counting by 2, print n. And you see that what it prints is 45, 47, 49, 51, 53, 55, 65, and it doesn't print 67. It goes all the way up until 67, but it stops before it reaches 67. The range can also be negative. I can make it -2, and let's start at 67 and go to 45 with a step size of -2. You can see that it starts at 67 and then goes almost to 45, but stops just before it gets to 45. So if you want to have the same functionality that you would have in a for loop in the C programming language, the way that you do it is by using a range object. This range object is kind of interesting. If we ask what is the type of a range object, we discover that it's class range. It's a special kind of object all to itself. And it has this interesting fact that the start is necessary, but the stop is not necessary. and the step is not necessary. If we give it just one argument, then the argument is the stop. If we give it two arguments, they're the stop and the step. So if I do for n in range 10, it will just do 10 items. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I do for n in the range 2 to 10, it will do only the items from 2 up through but not including 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And if I do for 2 to 10 with a step size of 2, then it will do 2, 4, 6, 8. So range can take 1, 2, or 3 arguments. All right, and then finally, let's talk about this really cool feature of Python called list comprehension. Let's look it up online. List comprehension has a syntax like expression for item initerable if condition. So the idea is that we want to create a new list by evaluating the expression for every item in the iterable. So we say Z is going to be a list, and Z is going to contain the values 2 times W for every W in the range between 45 and 67 with a step size of 2. So let me do that. Z is equal to a new list, and that list will contain the numbers 2 times W for every W in the range between 45 and 67 with a step size of 2. And if we print Z, we see that it starts out with 2 times 45, and it ends up with 2 times 65. Notice that the step size here is 4. We're going 2 times 45, 2 times 47, 2 times 49, 2 times 51, and so on. All right, so list comprehension is like putting a for loop inside the definition of a list. And this is a really useful syntax often. So the other interesting thing about list is that we can use an if statement inside. Actually, I'm not sure if this will work. Let me find out. Let's say Z is equal to 2 times W if W is an integer. And as you can see, only 2 items in this list are integers, 3 and 4. Okay, the if is occurring before the 4, so this should be after. For W in this list, if is instance W of integer. And you can see that it's taken the 3 and the 4 and it's multiplied each of them by 2. So in this slide, I should move this to the end, actually. There we go. That's correct. 2 times W for W in hello 5, 7.5, 10, if is instance W integer. Let me go ahead and copy that over and just make sure that that works. Oh, I need correct quotation marks there. All right, there we go. So it just chose out the 5 and the 10, and it printed those. All right, that's all the syntax we need this week. So let's try submitting the homework. Let's go ahead and start. We want to make sure that we're editing the homework using Python correct syntax. So let's go ahead and open a Jupyter notebook in order to open the homework. The attendance code, for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, the attendance code seems to be missing. Let's open the attendance code again. I'm not sure if it's the same attendance code or not, but it listed it as 34102. All right, so let's go ahead and open KCGI, Intro Speech Understanding, Lecture 3, Homework 3.py. And we see that in this homework, we have one function to define. This function is called words to characters. We're going to input a list of words and return a list of characters where every element of words should be converted to a string. So let's create characters as a list, and then let's try for word in words. For each of the word in words, we want to extend characters by adding to it a list composed of every element in the word. This is one way of accomplishing it. There are many ways of accomplishing this task, and then we want to return characters. So basically, we want for every word in the words, we input a list of words, and for every one of those words, we take a character, and we read off all of the characters in that word. So for every character in the word, we want to return that character. Another way to do this is, so this is one thing that should work. Let me try running that. We want to import lib, and then import lib.reload homework 3. And then let's help homework 3 dot words to characters. So for example, if we input the list of words hello 1 2 3 4 true, then it should be HELLO 1.234 TRUE. Oh, we need to convert every word to a string first. So I need to convert that word to a string and then take every element of it. So first convert it to a string and then take each one of its characters and create a list that contains all of its characters and then append them to the input. So let's reload the homework and let's try it. Let's try homework 3 dot words to characters, and the list should be hello 1.234 and the Boolean value true. And the returned value is indeed HELLO 1.234 TRUE. Let me show you another way we could do this. If you don't like list comprehension because you're not sure that you understand it yet, we can also do for every character in the word converted to a string. Convert the word to a string, and then we can take every character and just append it to the list of characters. Right, so what this is doing is it's taking a for loop over all of the input words, and then it takes a for loop over every character in the word, and then for each of those characters, it appends it to the list of characters, and then finally it returns the list of characters. So let me reload homework 3, and then let me try running it again, and we see that indeed it still gives the right value. Let me import grade in order to make sure that I get the full grade. Grade.py is only is looking for homework 2, not homework 3. That's a problem. It looks like grade.py didn't get correctly defined. Let me change it to homework 3. So grade.py should look for homework 3 words to characters and should check the resulting value. Let me import lib reload grade and see if it now gets 100%. Okay, now it's getting 100%. All right, so now at this point, I want to add it back to my repository on GitHub. So let me go ahead and open GitHub Desktop. And now here are the changes I've made. I made this change to change to grade.py, and then homework3.py, I added these changes. So let me say homework 3. I did homework 3, and let me go ahead and commit it. Commit it, and then push it to the origin. All right, let's go to GitHub and see if it got uploaded correctly. Let me change to my student account. And then let me check my student account, intro speech understanding, and make sure that it's there. There's lecture 3. It got uploaded correctly. And there's my copy of the homework. It has the defines an empty list called characters. And then for every word in the input words, it converts that word to a string, and then takes for every character in the string, appends every character to the output characters, and finally returns the output characters. So I can take this URL, copy it, and go to our course. Where is our course? Here it is. Go to homework 3 in our course, and just upload it to this location. All right, that's everything that you need in order to do the assignment. So let me go ahead and turn off the recording.